One of the reasons, and if I thought this before COVID and this inquiry, I certainly think it even more strongly now. One of the reasons why I don't believe that WhatsApp, for example, should be used for government communication and decision making is that, you know, when I make a public statement, or when I made public statements as First Minister in this context, I would think very, very carefully about the words I use to try to minimise as far as is ever possible the scope for what I was saying to be misinterpreted. When people send messages on WhatsApp, they don't think, including me, you don't think that deeply about how you're phrasing things, and therefore messages, when they are looked back at later on, can be open to different interpretations because people haven't really thought about the words they're using or the phraseology that they're using. And I think that certainly would be true of some of the exchanges that the inquiry has been looking at.
Would you, as First Minister, not have thought it to be important that ministers and senior officials would think deeply about the conduct of government business, whether conducted through WhatsApp or otherwise?
Of course, that is the case. And in saying that, I'm not trying to suggest that people were not thinking deeply. The form of, and I think every human being probably can recognise what I'm saying, the form of communication can influence the phraseology or the way in which things are worded. And informal communication, I think, lends itself to very short, sharp exchanges that would be very different if you were making a speech or putting something in a formal paper for decision making. Can I say very clearly, when I was First Minister, I would not have expected any of my ministers or any of my officials to have been conducting substantive government discussions and certainly not taking government decisions through WhatsApp or other informal means of messaging.
Thank you. On the 3rd of August 2021, Leslie Fraser, who I mentioned a moment ago, and another civil servant whom you'll know, Mr Kenneth Thompson, sent a do not destroy email to Scottish Government officials with the subject COVID-19 Independent Inquiry Record Retention, explaining the importance of retaining relevant material to the work of the inquiry. Do you recall receiving that email?
I do not, as far as I am aware, I did not receive that.
You recall, I would imagine in a general sense, that such a notification was sent out? I
would say this, that I don't think I would have required to see that, to know that matters that were relevant to matters of substance, salient, relevant to the inquiry should be retained, and that I had a duty, as all ministers and officials would have had a duty, to ensure that anything that they were exchanging in informal messaging, if they were not retaining those messages in line with the policies that were in place, then there would be a clear record of anything on the Scottish Government systems.
And in August 2021, you announced that there would be one.
Yes.
You knew at the time when you made the statement announcing the Scottish COVID inquiry that material which you had used to exchange messages, informal communications, would assist in the very important aims of the inquiry, scrutinising the decisions that you took.
Yes.
And you knew at that point that those messages had been destroyed.
I knew, yes, that I had operated in line with a policy that I had operated in line with, and advice that I had had from the outset of my time as a minister, to ensure that conversations with others in government, with any impact or relationship to government business, shouldn't be kept in a phone that could be lost or stolen, but properly recorded. And I was very cognisant of, and had been from the start of the pandemic, so not just at the points in time that you are referring to, from the start of the pandemic, of my duty to ensure that anything of salience, relevance, substance to the decision-making of the government would be properly recorded through the Scottish Government record.